From a walk-on to Patriot League MVP, getting the Mountain Hawks to the NCAA tournament for just the 5th time in program history. The Duke Blue Devils, with their Cameron Crazies behind them on their home floor, looking to keep their momentum rolling through March. Ashlyn Jackson, junior on this Duke Blue Devil team. Reagan Richardson, the only senior. It's a young team, but a very talented one. They come up empty, though, on their first possession as we take a look at tonight's starting lineup, brought to you by Capital One for Lehigh. Ella Stemmer, Colleen McQuillan, Megan O'Brien, Lily Fandre, along with Albrecht. And then for the Duke Blue Devils, no changes there either. Okonawa does come off the bench. Delaney Thomas has the first points. Jaden Donovan, Tiana Mayer also rounding out that starting 5 for the Blue Devils.
And look for Duke to go inside with that size advantage. Lehigh plays a 5-out system, no real true center, so Duke's going to try to exploit that.
And that Duke defense let Lehigh know they are going to be coming after them all night long.
Jen, I told you this when we first went to practice for both of these teams. How does Lehigh handle Duke's pressure in the first quarter? That's going to tell us everything, maybe even the first 5 minutes, because Lehigh has not seen a team like Duke with what they do defensively. They've got to not only handle the ball, but they've got to get the shots that they want. We know this is a great shooting team.
They are relatively unique. Their coach, Addie Messier, telling us in terms of what Duke is accustomed to seeing with that 5-out offense that they play. Foul on the floor. It's against Reagan Richardson, her first. Here you get a look at Addie Messier, her 3rd season at Lehigh as the head coach, 6th season overall there. She's the Patriot League Coach of the Year. And across the way, Kara Lawson, a fine job that she has done in her 5th season at Duke, winning the ACC championship with the Blue Devils, their 9th in program history. Lehigh still empty on the offensive end. McQuillan pulling down the rebound.
5-out motion system, a lot of cutting. They've got to get good cuts. They can't let Duke knock them off their spot when they're cutting in that motion system. And we know they love to shoot it. Their mantra is share it and shoot it. They want to knock down threes. They hit 8 threes per game, so that's what they're trying to do. But Duke all over them defensively from the jump. Duke can make it really hard on 3-point shooting teams because of that ball pressure they apply beyond the perimeter.
And the Blue Devils bringing some of the best offense they've had in a decade to go along with that stifling defense. And Lehigh doesn't even get a shot off on that possession. Gotta be aware of the shot clock.
That's what Duke does. Not only do they force turnovers, live ball turnovers, but shot clock violations. They're so connected on defense, and right now Lehigh not able to get anything going against this Duke defense.
That's the other word I was looking for when we came on the air. I said committed, but connected too. I think this Duke team, you sense that, you see it watching their practice yesterday as Delaney Thomas now has 4 points. She only averages 7 points per game, but it is a very balanced Duke team. They use their bench quite a bit. There is no one superstar on this Blue Devil team, and Jaden Donovan, who does so many little things for this team, getting after it, but gets whistled for the foul.
And that's 2 quick fouls on Duke. And this is one thing that Lehigh can take advantage of if they can get Duke in foul trouble. Lehigh is the best free throw shooting team in the NCAA tournament at nearly 81% from the line.
Yeah, and overall, they're 2nd in the country just throughout the season. So yeah, they would love that opportunity to get to the line and try to get some points, because nothing doing in their offense so far. Duke Blue Devils 26-7, came through the ACC with a 14-4 mark. 8 ACC teams into the NCAA tournament. And for Lehigh, they have already had to play with that pressure of March, knowing they had to win their Patriot League championship. They came in as the regular season champs. They did win their conference tournament title. And the message in the locker room from Addie Messier to her team before this game, very similar to what we heard her say yesterday, that she just empowers her team to be confident, to go out there and take their shots.
They've taken 3 shots, 2 of them are threes, and it feels like so far, even though that last shot, it looked open, it was still a bit rushed for Lehigh, and that's what Duke does. They speed you up, they make you feel uncomfortable.
If you heard the crowd applauding, that was your ACC tournament MVP, Oluchi Okanoa, coming into the game for the Blue Devils. Here is Donovan. Good hand by Ella Stemmer, one of the captains, a senior, and this is a veteran Lehigh team too. Every starter, either a senior or a fifth-year senior. Mayer has really been excellent taking care of the basketball for the Blue Devils, especially down the stretch this season. But on cue, I throw out the jinx, and Lehigh takes it away. McQuillan, the other captain for the Mountain Hawks.
Quick hands from McQuillan. She was in the passing lane on defense. And Lehigh, that's a good look. That may be the best look they've gotten so far with Albrecht, but just couldn't hit it.
A little unlucky from Albrecht there. Shot block on the other end, puts it out of bounds.
McQuillan trying to maybe give Duke a taste of their own medicine. Mayer thinks the pick and roll is there, and that's a great recovery as Lehigh switching the screen by McQuillan to get the steal.
Jordan Wood also in off the bench for the Blue Devils, who turn it over again. Stemmer out in front with it, nearly carried it. Whitney Lind, sophomore, into the game. And Carol Lawson, not exactly who Maddie Albrecht was intending to pass it to.
She's got quick hands. She was a great player at Tennessee, as we know. Got to stay ready, even when you're the head coach.
I have no doubt that Coach Lawson is always ready over there.
I'm surprised she didn't catch it in triple threat, you know, ready to shoot, ready to pass.
Come on, Coach. Her resume, obviously, so incredible, both as a player and with what she's done, too. Just in her coaching career, going to the NBA, gaining some great experience there, and with USA basketball. And then when this Duke job opened up, Carol Lawson had her eye on it. This, her 5th season, took over in 2020. What a crazy year that was for everybody during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And she's built Duke back up. Duke has been a big-time program in women's college basketball, has made multiple Final Fours, but there had been a lull, and now Duke back with its highest seed and sometime a 2 seed hosting in the NCAA tournament.
And let's not forget about the ACC Rookie of the Year. Toby Fournier also comes off the bench for the Blue Devils. Has her first points not long after checking in. All the ACC first team selection too. There finally is the first points of the night for Lehigh. Stemmer with the 3.
They're gonna live and die by the 3, and I absolutely love to see it as a former shooter, Jen. Absolutely love it. But when they have played 2 Power 4 teams this year, Lehigh, they lost to Michigan. They beat Northwestern in Evanston. In that game, they hit 18 threes. So that's a recipe for success for Lehigh.
And you never know, we might get a little extra March magic. I heard Coach talking about this in studio. Ooh. Here's what happened in warm-ups. You ready for this one, Kel? Toby Fournier putting it down for Duke. Here in March as seasons go on and seasons come to a close. The Oregon Ducks, the first double-digit seed to win today in the NCAA women's tournament, taking down Vanderbilt here just about 30 minutes ago.
And how about that Oregon contingent? A good bit of fans here in Cameron Indoor to watch Oregon play.
Oluchi Okanoa, the ACC tournament MVP, has her first points, courtesy of her own offensive rebound.
And she's getting after it defensively as she does. And that ball pressure from Oluchi Okanoa on McQuillan forced that tough pass that was deflected. And I mean, how many teams have an ACC tournament MVP that comes off the bench? That is so rare. The only player I can think of more recently is Malaysia Fulwiley at South Carolina, winning the SEC tournament MVP. Not this year, but in a previous year. It's so unique and so rare. You got Fournier, leading scorer, coming off the bench. It just speaks to Duke's depth.
Well, Lehigh able to hit their first triple, get on the board, but it has been tough sledding to get an open look here against the Duke defense. That's already the second shot clock violation of this game, and 5th turnover by Lehigh. Coach Graves here to do a little scouting after his Oregon team won that incredible game earlier tonight, and now they'll take on the winner of this one on Sunday. So extending his stay. I hope he's got a good Funyuns supply. Said that was the food that he discovered back in 2017 when all the magic started for Oregon in the postseason. Sabrina Ionescu and company coming here to Durham as a 10 seed and advancing all the way to the Elite 8 in 2017. So just keep that little storyline in the back of your mind.
Jen, of all the food to discover in the great state of North Carolina, Funyuns is not the one I had on my list. I do hope Deja Kelly gets her some cookout either today or tomorrow, because I know she said she was missing that. That's a little better than Funyuns.
Yeah, and that's another homecoming, of course, of sorts with Deja Kelly. Played at North Carolina for 4 years, transferred as a grad student to Oregon this year. Will she get a rematch against her rivals here in Durham? Okanawa took
She's
away
everywhere.
any chance for there to be a shot clock violation. She'll do you one better and get the steal.
The Duke ball pressure has just been ridiculous. I mean, they're always great on the ball, but they're so connected right now, and Lehigh just cannot get a good look on the offensive end.
And Carol Lawson talking about her team, yes, being very pleased that they won the ACC Tournament Championship. They were rewarded for their tough schedule all season and their hard work with a 2 seed here in the NCAA tournament, the chance to host. But she said, look, we know we need to come here and stay sharp because they've been there before where they have hosted and not advanced. They've been upset. And in fact, 3 of the last 4 times that Duke has hosted in the NCAA women's tournament, they have not made it to the regional. And that is the most losses as a host team in that period since 2014 of any team in the country.
Yeah, that's incredible. Only one of those coming in the Carol Lawson era 2 years ago when they were a 3 seed. They hosted here and they ended up losing to a 6 seed Colorado in the 2nd round. But there's that sense of urgency for Duke to prove that they can continue to advance. They made it to the Sweet 16 last year as a 5 seed.
Yep.
Continue to build on what they are building, if you will, in the Kara era.
Already the most wins in the Kara era. Since you brought out the term, I'm going to use it too. I like it. 26 wins on the season for Duke, helping them to their 2 seed. Another turnover. Lehigh a bit rattled by this Duke defense, as to be anticipated. Vanessa De Jesus out there for the Blue Devils, player who has been with Coach Lawson since her first year here, graduate student, also missed last year due to injury. Out to Wood, who's had some big moments off the bench for Duke when they've needed it this season. Richardson, 1,000-point scorer in her career, is fouled on the putback attempt.
Duke needs to continue to see Reagan Richardson get going. She broke out of a bit of a slump that she was in that North Carolina game on senior day. She had 23 points. Her tournament last year, she was phenomenal. Had 25 in the first round, 28 in the 2nd round. Let's see if she can channel some of that magic from last year this year.
Yeah, and she is a difference maker as much as this is a very balanced Duke team. When we asked Carol Lawson what she felt her team gained from that ACC tournament run, Reagan Richardson was one of the players that she mentioned because she recognized that this team did struggle when Reagan was struggling a little bit. I mean, they still obviously put together a great season, but she is that important to the Blue Devils. 4 points in the game for Richardson, a 13-3 lead for 2nd seeded Duke. Lehigh champions out of the Patriot League. Their 5th ever NCAA tournament appearance, looking for their 1st ever win. Know they've got an uphill battle, but their coach Addie Messier telling her team to come here and play with joy and effort. we know Coach Messier also enjoying her time here in the Triangle because, yes, we have a connection. She played for Courtney Banghart, current North Carolina coach. Obviously, Coach Banghart's Tar Heels will get going tomorrow as they host in Chapel Hill, but Maddie Messier played for Courtney Banghart in Princeton, at Princeton, excuse me, and so she met up with Courtney, went over there yesterday, I believe it was, right? And see if she could get a few tips, maybe take it on the Blue Devils. That's a good look inside. Remy Sisselman off the bench, the senior, for 2.
And a good cut by Sisselman, not getting knocked off of her spot, able to catch it, collect herself, and go up.
And of course, it's been much talked about since we've mentioned the Tar Heels. Blue Devils and the Tar Heels could well meet in the Sweet 16, something that has never happened in NCAA tournament history. The Lehigh contingent applauding the defensive effort there as they're able to draw the charge on Fournier.
And Toby Fournier, the ACC Rookie of the Year, she's been so good this year. If there's one knock, sometimes she can get out of control when she attacks the basket. Lehigh, obviously, very much understanding their scouting report, knows that about Fournier, and a great job by Maddie Albrecht to be there and set her feet and take the charge.
Here is Albrecht, leading scorer, leader in so many categories for this Lehigh team in her 5th year. Entered the transfer portal, just wanted to see what her options would be after earning All-Patriot League recognition last season, and made the active choice to come back and stay with this program, and now getting an opportunity to play in her first ever NCAA tournament.
And Jen, her story is unbelievable. She came to Lehigh as a track athlete, walked onto the basketball team. She had a partial scholarship last year. This is her first year she's been on a full scholarship. She leads Lehigh in scoring, averaging nearly 16 per game. I mean, what a story.
Yeah, and she averaged about 1.5 points per game for her first 3 years. So talk about really growth and embracing your opportunity. I mean, Albrecht has done that and then some. Also the Scholar Athlete of the Year in the Patriot League this year, and a member of the All-Defensive team. A look for Stemmer is good. That's her 2nd triple. She is the 3rd player in program history to have made over 200 career threes, and she adds a couple more here at Cameron Indoor. The shot at the buzzer won't go, but the Blue Devils with the lead 13-8 after our first 10 minutes of play. Lehigh starting to find their footing here on the road in Durham.
And finally, shooters shoot. Shooters shoot. If you need a reminder of how we compete with that, just think of upperclassmen versus underclassmen, right? And what do? We celebrate each other the entire time, right? Undies on top.
Talked about celebrating each other. That's the joy. And Kelly, I know you love this. Shooters, what do they do?
Shooters shoot, baby. And if my coach told me that before a game, I would say, let's go. I would be ready to run through a wall. And Ella Stemmer is ready so far. She's hit both of Lehigh's threes. That first quarter went pretty well for Lehigh. Defensively, they were able to hold Duke to just 13 points, and they're starting to get going from beyond the arc.
Meanwhile, that Duke defense holding an opponent to single digits for the 29th time this season in a quarter. Stemmer had a chance on the putback there, couldn't finish it off, and lightning fast, Econo and Duke go the other way, but then Mayer puts it right in the hands of Remy Sisselman.
Duke has forced a few passes in the paint that just aren't there, aren't necessary, and that's led to 5 turnovers so far for Duke.
I think this foul is going to go against Jaden Donovan. That's going to be her 2nd, a member of the ACC All-Defensive team this year. Her sophomore year with the Blue Devils, who she really is the key to this Duke defense, Carol Lawson telling us yesterday. Lily Fandre, senior, with the ball here for Lehigh, 4 on the shot clock. Jackson, too strong on the 3-point attempt, but Delaney Thomas tracking down the rebound. Ashlyn Jackson, all ACC second team selection for the Blue Devils this season. Averaged 15 points per game in their run to the ACC Tournament Championship. Sisselman on the floor, manages to keep it away from Donovan. That's no easy feat, and then it's another turnover.
And Jen, this was my question about Duke. I've had people ask, can Duke make a run? They're 2-seed ACC tournament champion. The big question with Duke, it all comes down to their offense. It all comes down to, can they make shots consistently? In their 6-game winning streak, when they have beaten some of the best programs in the ACC, they beat North Carolina, they beat Florida State, they beat Louisville, they beat Notre Dame, they beat NC State. They beat everybody. They played great offensive basketball, they shot the 3-ball well, and they made shots. When they do that, they can play with anybody in the country, but when they start to stall on offense, that can be a real issue for Duke.
Well, Delaney Thomas may have to get her points the hard way here. A couple of offensive rebounds after some misses from close range. We'll put her on the free throw line. Thomas, a 76% free throw shooter, sophomore for the Blue Devils. Started every game this year for Duke. It's been a very consistent starting five. In fact, every single player in the starting five for Duke has started every game. Well, for the 5th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. So the free throws are good, but Duke hasn't scored a field goal since the 4:21 mark in the first quarter.
And let's give Lehigh some credit. This is a team that also prides itself on its defense, and they've done a good job of turning Duke over, not giving them open looks.
Eight turnovers in the game for Lehigh, 5 for the Blue Devils. No foul called on that drive to the basket by Stemmer.
And that's what I mean by the passing, Jen. It just hasn't been crisp for Duke tonight. Trying to force things, trying to make that almost hero pass instead of just making the easy pass.
Is that sometimes, Kelly, a team maybe just a little amped up?
Yeah.
They haven't played in a while. They're on their home floor. They want to get this crowd behind them. They got a late start.
I think it's a combination of all of those things. Duke hasn't played, like you said, in a couple of weeks, and it feels like they're pressing a bit. Reagan Richardson with an open look. We've talked about what a key she is for Duke. Maybe she can get them going.
She's got 6 points in the game for the Blue Devils, who now do get that first field goal in quite some time. We have to give this Lehigh team some credit, too. After a really difficult start where they were having trouble getting any kind of an open look, Albrecht, a confident 3 there, but doesn't go down. They've hung with this, forced Duke into some turnovers, as you've talked about.
And Lehigh's done a good job. They're not really sending anybody to the offensive glass. They are getting back and have kept Duke out of transition.
Jordan Wood fouled as she was going up for the shot inside. That's the first on Albrecht. Maddie Albrecht has a twin sister, Willa, who plays at Montana. Her mom also was a 2-time Ivy League Player of the Year at Dartmouth. Good basketball in that family once they got her off the track route.
I was joking with the Lehigh coaches. When you hear Maddie Albrecht's story, my real question was, does the track coach talk to you guys anymore? Like, is he or she, I'm honestly not sure, are they a little upset? You took Maddie Albrecht off the track. I hear she was a pretty good track athlete. Fully committed to basketball now.
They're willing to take that
Yeah, I hope I didn't.
Be.
The track coach may be watching and they're saying, thank you.
Okanawa getting in the passing lane for the Blue Devils, and Whitney Lind, just doing enough to disrupt Akanawa to not give up the take and 2.
And that's what Lehigh has done a great job of. They understand, they know the game plan. We're not going to get offensive rebounds. That's not what's going to happen for us in this game. We have to get back. We have to prevent Duke from getting easy looks in transition. They have done a great job there.
Yeah, Adi Masir's words as the ball gets passed directly in to Grayson Levette and Lehigh. She said, if you go for a rebound, you better go with all you've got. And if you're not, you better be sprinting the other way. McQuillan takes advantage of the defensive takeaway for Lehigh.
A tough take from McQuillan, coming off 13 points in that Patriot League championship game.
And she's averaged 13.5 over her last 2, and the Blue Devils answer back with a 3 from Akanawa.
And there's Aluchi Akanawa, ACC tournament MVP, 22-10 in that championship game. She was just phenomenal.
Lead up to 12 for the Blue Devils. Okanawa says, I dare you to stay with me.
That first step, Jen, that first step from Aluchi Akanawa is lethal. Talk about a track athlete. If Aluchi Akanawa participated in track, we may see her in the Olympics. I mean, that's very possible from Aluchi Akanawa. This first step from Aluchi, goodness. She looks away for a second and she's gone. She makes you take her eyes off of her for a second, looking like she might pass the ball, and she's gone. And then how about McQuillan using some craftiness inside to get the bucket.
Foul called against the Blue Devils that has a little lift off the Lehigh bench. Take some momentum where they can get it here. They've done some with their defense. It was actually on Fournier, just came into the game and picked up her second foul. Back she goes to the bench. So part of your game plan, if you're Lehigh, was to keep Toby Fournier off the score sheet. Well, they're doing that so far. She does have 4 points, Fournier, but those 2 fouls are gonna limit her. So it's one less threat you have to worry about.
The problem with Duke is there's 9 more threats that they can throw at you.
Here's one of them, Richardson. De Jesus snatches the rebound, but then got herself stuck a little bit, off balance, lost it out of bounds. 7th turnover by the Blue Devils. Timeout on the floor. 14-point Duke Blue Devil lead here in the second game from Durham tonight. Yeah, Coach McGraw also in the Lehigh Athletics Hall of Fame, by the way. So we know she's watching with a little vested interest here. Might have some things to say, though, because this Lehigh team, every possession, Kelly, so far, has ended either in a contested shot or a turnover.
That is an incredible stat from ESPN SIG, and that's what Duke does. That is Duke in a nutshell. They're going to make you uncomfortable, they're going to contest everything, and they're going to make you not be able to get anything easy. And that's been the case so far.
On cue, let's add a charge to the defensive resume.
One of the few times Lehigh's been able to get some dribble drive action and get into the paint. And the second they're able to create some separation with the dribble drive, Ashlyn Jackson is there. Perfect positioning, textbook, draws the charge.
That was Belle Bramer, the Patriot League all-rookie team selection for the Mountain Hawks this season, picking up the offensive foul. And yet, with all of the things that they have done so well on the defensive end, you still feel a little bit like this Duke team maybe lacking something on this end of the floor at times. Okanawa doesn't lack for much. With 2 seconds on the shot clock, she is able to drive and draw the foul. Second on Fandre.
Well, and in the spirit of the fact that we're doing a Lehigh game and they shoot the 3 ball, I do think the key, one of the keys to Duke's offense and their offensive output over the last couple of games in their streak has been how they shot the 3. They've been able to open things up when they shoot the three. Then Alucci can get downhill. Then Fournier can score inside. And they're just 1 for 7 tonight from three.
Okonowa at the line. 7 points in the game. Now make it 8. Lehigh trying to find an opening in this Duke defense. Stemmer has gotten free a couple of times for 3.
And Duke doing a really good job on the glass. Lehigh with just 2 offensive rebounds. So even when they do get a good look, they're just not getting those second chances.
Duke coming up empty that last possession. Spin move in the paint, but a walk by Whitney Lynn, the sophomore out of Florence, Kentucky. 13th turnover of this first half by the Mountain Hawks. Let's check out how Duke is moving on, brought to you by United Airlines. The Blue Devils trying to keep that momentum going from that great run in Greensboro for their ACC tournament title, 9th in program history.
I've covered the last couple ACC tournaments. Jen, you've covered quite a few ACC tournaments. That was one of the more magical runs I've ever seen in Greensboro. As the 3 seed, Duke comes in there. Everyone thought Duke had a chance, but they weren't the favorite.
Revenge tour?
Right. Notre Dame, NC State were the favorites. Duke gets their revenge. They beat Louisville, who they lost to in the regular season. They beat Notre Dame, who they lost to in the regular season. And then same thing with NC State. So just a magical week for them, led by Alucci Okonowa in Greensboro.
Blue Devils on an 8-0 run now. Okonowa leading the way with 10.
Alucci Okonowa is picking up where she left off. She was so good in that ACC tournament, averaged nearly 17 points per game. In Greensboro, averages about 10 on the year. So it feels like she stepped it up in March.
Also made 6 of her 8 3-point attempts in the ACC tournament. And once again, the Duke defense just daring Lehigh to figure out how to get a look without committing an offensive foul or having a hand in their face.
They're so connected. They're just always in the right position. They understand where the on-ball pressure is trying to direct the defense. And that on-ball pressure is directing Lehigh right into the charge. It's just such good team defense.
Okonowa to the bench. She's got the last 8 points for Duke. Wood, Thomas, Mayer all touching at this possession. Thomas, the offensive rebound, makes good.
Delaney Thomas making her presence felt early in this game. Lehigh just doesn't have the size to counter her. She's got 8 and 6 so far.
9 offensive rebounds for the Blue Devils. 10 second chance points. Emma Cable on the floor off the bench for Duke as well. Talk about this Duke team doing it by committee. I mean, they really do have such a balance, not only in their scoring, but even in the minutes that are played with contributions off the bench. Obviously, Fournier comes off the bench, as does Okonowa. De Jesus can give him some minutes at the point. Cable, Wood, all regular contributors off the bench for Duke this season.
They're one of the deepest teams in the country. They play 10 players, and any of those players can score. They have 6 players this year that have had at least one 20-point game. That is balance for Duke.
Well, Lehigh sitting at just 10 points in the game. Duke staring down 30. Mayer will put them up to 31.
A much better offensive output for Duke in this second quarter. 12-0 run. They've been able to get much better looks in the second quarter, and they've been knocking them down.
And you know, if you're Lehigh, this is a stretch in the game where you really need to figure out what you are made of, because it would be easy to let it all get away. Gonna see what kind of a fight this team has left, and I think Addie Maseer wants to talk to her team about it. She calls a timeout. Under a minute to go in the first half. We will be right back here to Cameron Indoor. Questions that get asked during March Madness. Do Mountain Hawks have green feet?
And yellow claws?
This one does.
I'm
Clutch
no expert.
does.
I'm no expert, Jen, but I would be surprised.
Well, you know, this one's name is Clutch. Just to fill you in a little bit on Lehigh. Mountain Hawks hailing from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour outside Philadelphia.
Wow. I'm not sure we need that.
Well, he needs a pedicure.
I'm not sure I need to close up on anybody's toes, especially the Mountain Hawks.
It's been a long season, okay? Look, everybody's getting a little worn down this time of year.
It's not personal, Clutch.
Give you a few facts there on Lehigh. Patriot League champs both in the regular season and the tournament enrollment of just over 5,800. Their 5th ever NCAA tournament appearance, last one coming in 2021. So this is the first with Addie Messier in charge as head coach. And you talk to her, I think you just get such a sense of why these players love to play for her, of where she wants to take this program. She talked to us about the great leadership program that Lehigh has, and she herself clearly exhibiting a lot of that leadership as well from the head coach position. And it was a Lehigh alum, Kathy Engelbert, WNBA commissioner, who made a $1 million gift to establish a leadership foundation there specifically for female athletes.
That is really cool. When Coach Messier was telling us about that, Kathy Engelbert, of course, the WNBA commissioner, Lehigh 86, and giving back to her institution is specifically to empower female leaders. That's what you want to see from your alumni.
Well, the Mountain Hawks certainly being challenged here. The Blue Devils holding them to just 10 points and 19% shooting. They're 4-21 from the floor. Duke also sending a message. Come into their house. Ain't nothing gonna be easy going against this Duke defense.
It is that way for pretty much everybody. Not just Lehigh, not just when they play teams that aren't in the Power Four. Most teams struggle to score offensively against Duke.
Especially at home. Blue Devils 13-1 at Cameron Indoor this season. Their only loss to Louisville here on their home floor, which, as you said, they avenged in the ACC tournament.
And of course, Louisville getting a win today, beating Nebraska.
Yeah, hanging on.
Advancing on to the HVL Bowl against TCU.
There are great storylines everywhere. If you just dig a little deeper, we'll help to find those for you as well. It's part of the fun of March Madness. Duke looking to get off to a good start. Not sure we've mentioned this yet. Here's a good fact for you. Blue Devils 26-0 in NCAA tournament first round games. How about that?
That's incredible, to have never lost a first round game. You're not a 2 seed every year. Duke has been a high seed a lot of times, but to have never lost an opening round game is pretty phenomenal.
And if there was any of the lore of the Lehigh-Duke upset on the men's side back in 2012, well, the Blue Devils have tried to put that story to rest here in the first half. Pretty dominant defensive performance for sure by the Blue Devils. $10 points, the fewest that Lehigh has scored in any half this season. And the Duke defense flexing its muscles here at Cameron Indoor Stadium after the first 20 minutes. So we're gonna get you to our crew in the studio. Kelsey Riggs-Cuff, Coach McGraw, Megan Bicchione, it's yours.
Oh, Lehigh has had one open look in the entire first half.
Duke, by comparison, has had 12, and they've made 6 of them. So a couple of numbers that stand out. Obviously, those turnovers have been problematic for Lehigh in the first half, something they will have to try to clean up in the second half. As we look at tonight's game track, brought to you by Invesco QQQ. Duke bench doing what it does as well, despite really limited contribution from their leading scorer, Toby Fournier, who played just 6 minutes in the first half, has 3 points, and gets the start in the second half. Had a couple of quick fouls to help keep her on the bench. What do you make of this move, Coach Lawson, starting her in the second half, Kelly?
It's very rare. You know, Toby Fournier is the only player in the country that leads her team in scoring coming off the bench. And of course, she's good enough to start. She's good enough to start almost anywhere in the country. But I like the move because Fournier only got to play 6 minutes in the first half. She's telling her freshmen to go out there and, you know, have some fun, get to play in the NCAA tournament.
What's a better taste in the mouth for her first NCAA tournament experience and what she was able to get in that first half? And Lehigh would like that as well. Travel called on Megan O'Brien, who looked like she was probably surprised actually when she spun and didn't have a Blue Devil between her and the basket initially.
And Jen, not only do they start Fournier in the second half, but they run something right for her as Fournier is able to get that offensive rebound and go back up with it. Fournier rewarding Coach Lawson. Okay, you're going to give me that start in the second half? I'm going to make something happen.
Fournier leading all ACC freshmen in scoring, field goal percentage, free throws made, and rebounds this season in her first year with the Blue Devils. Vanessa De Jesus also out there for Duke. Colleen McQuillan getting into the lane, trying to fight for the rebound. She's the only one, though, as the rest of the team trying to get back and cut off any sort of transition points for Duke the other way. No points for Ashlyn Jackson in that first half. She averages 12.5 for the season, 7 on the shot clock now. De Jesus had it taken away, but it was last touched by McQuillan. And I'm curious, Kelly, what do you think Carol Lawson's main points were in that halftime speech?
Knowing Carol Lawson, it was not, you know, we're fine, we've held Lehigh at 10 points, we're up 23, whatever it is. No, it was, she was as intense as ever in that halftime for them to be better defensively, but also to get things going more offensively, which is what Duke lacked, at least in that first quarter. They didn't have 1 second here to try to get a shot off and weren't able to do it. And a player like Ashlyn Jackson, she hasn't scored yet. She's 0 for 3. She had a great ACC tournament, first team all tournament. She had 22 points in the championship game. I'm sure Carol Lawson was challenging her. You know, this game's not over yet. You need to continue to prove what you can do every single night, even in this second half when you have a big lead.
Lily Fandre, one of the seniors for this Lehigh team, hasn't scored yet. She averages 10 points per game. De Jesus committing the foul.
And the other thing too, Jen, is Duke and Carol Lawson is very aware that they have a very good Oregon team waiting for them if they do end up winning this game and beating Lehigh. Oregon coming off an overtime game, obviously, but that's a team that can push Duke. And if Duke has this type of offense, kind of a slow offensive start to the game against Oregon, that could be a real problem for the Blue Devils.
Now, I know we've talked 2017 quite a bit for Oregon, telling that story about when the Ducks came here to Durham as a 10 seed, wound up upsetting second-seeded Duke in the second round of that tournament and made it all the way to the Elite Eight. Does Carol Lawson reference that with her team if things go as we think they will?
She might going into Sunday, even though Carol Lawson was not the head coach. None of these players were at Duke 8 years ago. She might reference that going into Sunday, but I know who will reference it, and that's Kelly Graves, the head coach at Oregon. He's already talking about that with his team because we know he had talked about it with his team previously. We asked Deja Kelly about it. He said, oh, yeah. Or she said, yes. Kelly's been telling us about what happened when Oregon came here in 2017.
And if a couple of the things on your Duke checklist for this second half were, let's get Toby Fournier going. Well, they did that early. She had an offensive rebound, put it back and scored. And then let's get Ashlyn Jackson into the offense. Well, she just hit a triple.
And you want to get that momentum and just have your shooters, especially your best offensive players like Jackson, feeling good going into the next game and just feeling good in the tournament. So you want to see that ball go in if you're Ashlyn Jackson, especially if you're head coach Kara Lawson.
Jackson frustrated on that last foul call. Her first foul in the game, though. No more fouls. You heard it here, just as we did from Coach Lawson. Wanting her team to continue playing this intense, high-level defense, but do it without fouling. 8 on the shot clock for Lehigh. Patriot League champs desperately wanting to get a better showing for themselves here in Durham. Fifth all-time NCAA tournament appearance for the Mountain Hawks. As Fournier, a little off balance, doesn't matter. She has 7. And Fournier reading that all the way. She was jumping in the lane to get the ball.
Fournier, we know what she's capable of, the body control there to finish through contact. And I understand the foul from Lehigh. I get it. Fournier intercepts that pass. You want to foul, you don't want to let her get on the open floor. Jen, that would have been our chance. That would have been our chance for a dunk.
That's what you were
That would have been our chance for a dunk. Toby Fournier, she can dunk. It's all over social media. She did it in warm-ups. We showed it on the broadcast. That would have been it.
I think she knew it too.
Yeah.
Maybe Lehigh also was
Lehigh,
aware.
I get it. You can't fault Lehigh. Good play.
Vandre committing the foul that did not let loose Fournier. This is what we're talking about, by the way, in case you missed it. Yeah, this happens in warm-ups.
Jen, that's two-handed.
Come on.
That is a two-handed dunk.
I'm going to just, we need a little bit of that. We need a little bit of that here tonight.
Not that I know. I don't have a lot of experience dunking, but dunking two-handed is a lot harder than dunking one-handed. You have to be able to palm the ball, obviously. Our great producer, Kim Belton, who I'm sure could dunk back in his day, confirms me on that.
Well, Lehigh continues to stay stuck at 10 as Duke goes through the back door. Donovan has her first points.
Great pass by Fournier, and what a finish from Jaden Donovan, just making it look easy.
Fournier has some traffic in front of her. Look at her handling the ball down the floor. Jackson back to Fournier. That was a tough pass for the freshman to pick up and finish, but she did.
And that's one of the many things that Fournier has gotten better at throughout the season. Finishing through contact at the rim. First of all, great pass. She draws the double team. Jaden Donovan with the excellent finish. Or earlier in the season, Fournier would have been just looking for the foul here. On that play, she's looking to finish. And if she gets fouled, she gets fouled. That's been a big step for Toby Fournier.
I feel like we saw one of her best games this year as a Blue Devil in that game down in Tallahassee late in February. She had a career-high 28 points, Fournier, for the Blue Devils in that win. And I mean, that was a big game for them too, just thinking about seeding for the ACC tournament, what it would mean. Obviously, it was so tight with all those teams, Duke, Florida State, North Carolina, Louisville too, just behind them in the standings. Five-second violation. Let's add that to the defensive wins for Duke in this game.
And Jen, I think without a doubt, that performance that Fournier had against Florida State in the last game of the regular season was her best game of the year, for sure. She showed me so much in that game going against Michaela Timpson. And you look at Fournier and Flagg, of course, the Duke men, they won today. These two superstar freshmen are having great years, both ACC Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Great to see Cooper Flagg back out there for Duke as well in the NCAA tournament. And I would imagine the challenge here for Duke, although I fully expect that Kara Lawson will keep the reins on her team, is like, look at the scoreboard. Lehigh hasn't even been able to score since halftime. They only had 10 points in the first half. So you don't want to get too loose, right?
Right. You don't want to get too loose. But the thing with Duke, and this can present a problem for opponents when you're playing a team, that's a bit outmatched like Lehigh. Duke is so deep. They don't really have a second five. Their two of the leading scorers come off the bench. So it's not like they can kind of put in a second five and things relax. That's what makes Duke so difficult, is they have so much talent, and every lineup that Kara Lawson puts out there is a difficult lineup.
Blue Devils led the ACC this year, forcing 20.5 turnovers per game. They're going to up that average after this performance because Lehigh's already up to 23 turnovers. They're getting outscored 13-0 since halftime. And as incredibly frustrating as that must be, I would think you just have to chip away, right? And there are the first points of the third quarter. Lily Fandre, it is a long two.
That was an open look for Lehigh, very rare for them. And unfortunately, foot on the line. We know how much they love to shoot the three.
Fournier, short on her attempt. We know there's a contingent of dads for this Lehigh team here that have come to support their Mountain Hawks, including Lily Fandre's dad. Trying to keep some energy alive for this Lehigh team. There is Lily's dad. Looking for a little something more to cheer for. Lily Fandre providing the first and only points so far in this quarter for Lehigh against number 2 seeded Duke. One of the stories of March Madness is not just the players out there, it's the support from the family. And we're going to stick with this Fandre family story because something we found out, look, Lily's mom passed away when she was younger due to breast cancer. Her dad is her biggest fan. He lives in a van, Cal, and he drives around to all of her games in her senior season.
That is amazing. We love the support from the dad for his daughter. Going to every single game. It means so much to Lily Fandre to see her dad in the stands every single game. Probably looks to find him before the game starts. Love to see that support.
I mean, she went with the two-toned hair. I'm just thinking dad probably needs to step it up a little bit, in the NCAA tournament.
I would like to know more about this van. Is it all decked out? We've got, what do we got going on in this van? I've got some questions there, Jeff.
Well, I'll try to do some
Will
investigative
we see it when
reporting.
we leave? Is it parked out back?
Maybe.
It's got to have Lehigh stickers on the back, I'm guessing. It'll be easy to find.
Some Mountain Hawks with yellow feet. We are going to try to keep it on the rails as well. Jen Hildreth, Kelly Gramlich enjoying our time up in the perch. Crow's Nest here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And the Duke Blue Devil defense just quite honestly has been smothering. Use all the adjectives that you want. They have made life incredibly difficult on the Patriot League champs out of Lehigh. This really experienced, really veteran Lehigh team plays a 5-out offense and just has to try to keep doing what they do against a very good Duke defense.
And we've seen this, teams that shoot a lot of threes against Duke. You think, okay, the three is the ultimate equalizer. If you can knock down threes, you can beat anybody. The problem with Duke, or the problem if you're playing Duke, they don't even let you get those shots off. They don't even let you get the three ball off. That's how disruptive their on-ball defense is beyond the perimeter.
Fandre on the free throw line, the senior, an 80% free throw shooter, had 13 points in the Patriot League championship game, which was just this past Sunday. So the Patriot League playing a little later into the season. Yeah, Dad's going to capture every moment. 3 points in the game for Fandre. She misses the second free throw attempt. The Oregon Ducks, a 10 seed, an upset story so far in this NCAA tournament, awaiting the winner of this game that'll be played here on Sunday. Mayer drives to the basket. Thomas there to bail her out. Mare a little out of control on the way in.
Jim, we had a good time at Duke's practice yesterday talking with Kara Lawson and some of her players, and you could just tell the relationship that she has with her players. It's very evident. It's very strong. And Kara Lawson, it feels like she lets a little more of her personality show with the players. Multiple players have told me that she is very funny in the locker room, which is great to hear. And you can just tell they have such respect for her and how she's trying to grow them and mold them. And the #1 goal for this Duke team, they're so balanced. Obviously, you have certain players who are all ACC, freshman of the year, all this. #1 goal for them is to win. And that's what you've seen Duke do this year. They're 26-7. They played one of the toughest schedules in the country, earned a 2 seed, won the ACC tournament, Duke's first win at that event in a long time.
Since 2013. Yeah.
Since the Chelsea Gray years here at Duke, by the way, shout out Chelsea. So you can see that this culture that Kara Lawson has built is really working here in Durham.
You're saying you like in the Kara era, is what you're telling me.
Oh, yeah. I think the Duke fans are, too.
Why not? Lot to like about what this team is doing, what this program is building back here at Duke with a incredible women's basketball history, 4 Final Fours on their resume. The last one, though, in 2006, team making it to the Sweet 16 last year, where they were one of the youngest teams in the ACC and the country. That experience paying off, helping this team to an ACC championship, and we'll see how much more this year in the postseason. Looks like a conversation going on over at the scorer's table. Not entirely sure what it's about, but we do have a little bit of a reset of the shot clock, sounds like. Sisselman with the ball now for Lehigh. Had a big second half in the Patriot League Championship game. Just stayed ready for her opportunity. All 11 of her points in the second half. McQuillan, there's a foul there against Duke. It's the first on Okonowa. And that will put Colleen McQuillan on the free throw line for Lehigh. 2 points in this game, a member of the Patriot League All-Tournament team. Averaged 13.5 points, shot over 52% over her last 2 games. And a good free throw shooter, as is this entire Lehigh team. Kelly mentioned it earlier, but best in the NCAA tournament field at over 80% as a team from the free throw line.
And Coach Nasir was telling us that they don't shoot free throws in practice.
Yeah.
Which was really surprising to me. Most teams shoot free throws in some capacity in practice, and we were asking her, you know, what's the secret? You guys shoot 81% from the line as a team. And she said they just shoot on their own. They're just good free throw shooters. I don't have to worry about it.
But they're good shooters, and we confirmed. We watched their practice yesterday and did not see nary a free throw attempt. Shooters can shoot. She brings confidence to her players as Belle Bramer, the freshman, gets on the board for the Mountain Hawks. And that was something, as we go back to the Courtney Banghart connection with Addie Messier. Banghart coaching Addie Messier at Princeton. So that's what she did for me. She empowered me. She taught me that I could shoot it. Said shoot till you get hot and then keep on shooting it. And so she has taken a lot of that same empowerment and given it to her players. 4 fouls now on Colleen McQuillan, who's certainly in some foul trouble and will head to the bench, one of the captains for this Lehigh team. Thomas back on the free throw line for Duke. Hits the first. Duke men also in action, winning earlier today. And coverage of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship continues on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. A little too much whip on that pass as it zips out of bounds. Well, after a slow start to the quarter, Lehigh at least able to get a couple of baskets to go through, but still it has been single digits in every quarter for Lehigh so far, including 2 in the second quarter. This Duke defense will continue to make history, make their way forward in this NCAA tournament.
And Jen, if you didn't tell me the score and I was just watching the game, I would think that this game was still very much within reach. Like, Duke is still playing with that urgency as if they're down, not as if they're up by this number, as Alucci knocks down that 3. And that's just kind of what Duke does. That's how they play at all times, no matter the score.
Well, which, as they should, right? I mean, because you want to come out of this game clicking.
You have to.
Continuing on, so you've got another game.
Especially the momentum that Oregon, I know playing an overtime game, you could argue they may be more fatigued, but they got some serious momentum from that game.
Emma Cable with Albrecht flying in front of her face, makes the 3 anyway, adds a little icing to the third quarter cake. And the Duke Blue Devils are getting all the love here at Cameron Indoor, but stick around because they got a special gift that came their way this week. We'll tell you about it when we come back.
Why is she my favorite player? Not because he's no. Why? Because he wins. Because he wins. Winning, that's it. Above all else. That's why he's my favorite player. That's why I admire him. I admire him. He admires you guys too. He sent you some of his shoes. Where?
You get excited when you get some good swag, right?
I love that video from Duke putting that out there. Jason Tatum, of course, played at Duke and then plays for the Boston Celtics, where Kara Lawson was an assistant coach, so they have a great relationship. He sent the team some shoes, and Kara Lawson admires Jason Tatum, not because he's cute, Jen Hildreth, but because he is a winner. That was just such a classic reaction from Kara Lawson's team.
And I love that Alucci Kanawa was so excited too. As someone who's very into fashion, we have detailed her styling with Lucci, and now supposedly, I haven't gone back to look, she styled Toby Fournier.
She did.
For this game, and she said she was gonna have her not looking like a freshman.
We may have to use that on Sunday. I'm sure they're gonna put it out today or tomorrow as the threes just keep raining.
And Ashlyn Jackson blows a kiss to the bench after her second triple falls through.
But Alucci was telling us she's going to style Toby Fournier, and it's time for Toby to dress like an adult. It's time for her to dress in a mature way, which I thought was hilarious, that she's going to look grown up. That's what Alucci was telling us.
Well, Ashlyn Jackson. Well, maybe a little heat check.
Mind you, Alucci Kanawa just a sophomore and Toby Fournier a freshman, so I guess she's in charge of helping Toby Fournier
but a veteran sophomore, as we found out. She's 21 years old, she told us. A pretty common thing. She grew up in the Boston area, Alucci, and New England. A lot of times, prep school, sometimes they get an extra year in there. She did, and when it is fallen, even when you are falling, as Sienna Mayer hits the shot, gets fouled, has a free throw coming.
And this is what I'm talking about with Duke's offense. When they can start to heat up from beyond the arc, it makes them so difficult to stop. Alucci Kanawa super excited for her teammate, both of them from Boston, Taina Mayer and Alucci Kanawa. But that 3-ball, it's a game changer for Duke. How they wear teams down defensively. They've got the bigs inside with Fournier, Delaney Thomas having a really good game. If they can hit the 3, they can play with anyone in the country.
Alucci almost as excited about that three as she was about the Jason Tatum shoes.
Almost. But still, the shoes are more important, I would say.
And they don't wear them in games, by the way. Those are just for fun. That did not get off in time, say the referees. Fournier maybe feeling it a little extra after her styling episode with Alucci. We'll find out. 66-17, one of the more dominant defensive performances we have seen in this NCAA tournament. The 10 points at halftime tied for the fewest and a half in any game in NCAA tournament history. And that was a good action and an open look, which have been very few and far between for Jessie Ozado and Lehigh.
And even when they get an open look, they feel rushed. That's what the Duke defense does. And when the three ball is falling, this Duke team, they're just special. This is what Duke needs. You want to see that ball go through the net. You want to get some of your shooters going into that Sunday game.
Timeout called by Lehigh. The Duke Blue Devils, we wondered if they'd keep it rolling from their ACC championship. I think the answer is yes.
Run of this second half where they've outscored Lehigh 36-7. A lot of it started with Toby Fournier. She had the first bucket of the second half. She got that start in the second half, which was big. And she has made her presence felt here in the second half for Duke.
She's made her presence felt on the inside. Everybody's been hitting threes on the outside for the Blue Devils in this fourth quarter in particular. They are 4 of 5 from beyond the arc, Duke, in the fourth. And for Lehigh, it's got to be just about making the most of the moments you have left. They've had a terrific season, winning the Patriot League regular season and tournament title. Big challenge coming here to Durham. And it was 13-8 in the first quarter, but since that time, this is a difficult number if you're a Lehigh fan. You might want to cover your ears. It's been a 56-9 Duke run. Just a dominant defensive performance and some good offense to go along with it. Little offensive rebounding worked in.
Lucia Kanoa picking up where she left off in the ACC tournament MVP. 15.7 rebounds tonight off the bench.
Maddie Albrecht, the leading scorer for Lehigh, no points in this game.
She's taken just 5 shots.
And you have to think Duke too, yes, everything seems to be flowing now. They've probably had a few more turnovers and fouls than Kira Lawson would like, but this game just as much about getting through, getting the victory here as it is preparing for what's coming next now. And with a score like this, yes, you've definitely got that in the back of your mind, I would imagine. You take it one game at a time, but Oregon is going to come in with a ton of momentum. They're a 10 seed. They're going to believe they've got history on their side in this building, Kelly, even though different personnel, of course. But back in 2017, the season, the tournament, the location that Kelly Graves, Oregon head coach, says put Oregon basketball on the map. Well, they're going to get a rematch against another second-seeded Duke Blue Devil team here at Cameron Indoor.
It happened before. It happened in 2017 when Oregon, number 10 Oregon beat number 2 Duke. So, of course, Oregon and Kelly Graves is going to be talking about that. And that matchup's going to be an interesting one. Oregon controlled the game with Vanderbilt for most of it, ended up letting Vanderbilt back in, headed to overtime. Deja Kelly played well. You had Peyton Scott come along and make some big shots down the stretch. How about Fiso as well, the freshman? She was great. And then, of course, you got to deal with Philly Che inside and 6'8", all of her size. Duke has a lot more size than Vanderbilt, but she is a formidable threat always.
Yeah. A little extra enticement, Deja Kelly. We kind of joked with her of all the places that Oregon would wind up. Of course, they had to come here. And now She will be getting a chance to take on the team that was her fiercest rival for her 4 years in Chapel Hill. Those were the first points for Albrecht, by the way. I want to give her a little bit of love. First team All-Patriot League selection, and that tournament's MVP. Lehigh won it.
And to your point, John, with the win today for Oregon, as the threes just rain for the Duke Blue Devils.
And the crowd loving that shot from Luann Battystone, the sophomore who is making just her 12th appearance of the season, hasn't played in the last 5, making the most of her March moments here in Durham.
Feel it from 3. Might not matter as much in this game as it's pretty much completely out of reach for Lehigh, but it will matter on Sunday against Oregon. They're going to need to make threes. Oregon shot the ball really well today from 3. They were 8 for 16. Duke's going to need some of those on Sunday against the Ducks.
You're loving that, aren't you? A little three-point love?
Absolutely.
You don't mind.
I'll talk threes all day.
I know. Albrecht able to get another bucket. All 4 of her points coming in this 4th quarter. Averaged almost 16 points a game for the season. Led this Lehigh team in scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, free throws, blocks, steals. And she is, as a story we mentioned earlier, a walk-on who did not earn a full scholarship until this year for the Mountain Hawks. Just a great story of perseverance as the threes do continue to fall for the Duke Blue Devils. And it did feel intentional, too, coming into the second half. I mean, Duke had a 23-point lead at the half, holding Lehigh to just 10 points in the first half of some things they wanted to get accomplished in the second half. One, I think, was to get Toby Fournier going. She got some points after halftime, coming off the bench. Ashlyn Jackson, too. And I don't know if the rest of the team just lining them up and lighting them up from 3 as a bonus, but they got that as well.
I think you're exactly right, Jen, that Kara Lawson wanted to get Toby Fournier going. That's why she started her in the second half. Just wanted to get her comfortable in the NCAA tournament as they head into the game on Sunday. And Lehigh hits that 25-point mark. There's only been one instance in NCAA tournament history where a team has scored 25 or fewer points. So they hit that mark. That was Howard in 2022 against South Carolina. So that's a good sign for Lehigh.
Take them where you can get them.
That's right.
Another 3 open. This one maybe a little too open that time for Emma Cable. She's already hit 2 of them in this game. Vanessa De Jesus, the only player who has not scored who has taken the floor for Duke today. She's got 4 fouls. And you know, if you've been watching all of our NCAA women's tournament coverage, seen some commercials in between for the NWSL, which we have on ESPN. And the North Carolina Courage play just down the road. If you look at all the wonderful basketball going on here in the Triangle area, unprecedented. Duke, North Carolina, NC State, all top 3 seeds for the first time ever. The men's tournament going on in Raleigh as well. They're even getting banked in from 3. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm going to add soccer to the party that's happening in this area this weekend, too, because the North Carolina Courage are opening their season at home. They played on the road last week, so they're opening their season tomorrow, Wake Med Soccer Park. And I know that there's a pretty good connection here with this Duke team. They actually presented the Duke team with Courage jerseys after their ACC tournament championship, which I thought was pretty cool.
There's a lot going on in this Triangle area, epicenter of women's college basketball for sure. And Jen, I'm excited. Tomorrow, going to come to Cameron, watch Duke and Oregon practice, do all the media availability and all that. And then I'm heading over to Chapel Hill. I'm going to go watch games in Chapel Hill and check out those games over there. So very excited to see that. And you got to when you're in the Mecca, right? When you're in the basketball capital of the world right now, especially on the women's side, you got to go check out as many games as possible. And it is just raining threes for Duke. If the bank is open this late, you know Duke's feeling good.
And the Blue Devils not letting up at all. Batty Stone, she banked it the last time. That would have been a really difficult angle to use the glass. The three, which is more what Lehigh has been known for throughout this season, but that and everything else they wanted to do offensively just snatched away by this Duke defense. So Duke, Oregon is what it is shaping up to be in the second round here from Cameron Indoor Stadium on Sunday. Don't know the times for all those Sunday matchups just yet. Be sure to check out ncaa.com for all the game times. And now Lehigh just getting some more of their bench players into the game and giving a chance for all those seniors, all 5 of their starters, either seniors or fifth-year seniors, playing their final game in a Lehigh uniform. And while this final game may not be the one they want to remember, good to still see some smiles over there because their careers, the season they had this year, that certainly speaks much more to what their legacy will be that they leave in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. No one can take a Patriot League championship away from Lehigh and what they were able to accomplish this year, winning 27 games. And of course, their season and a lot of careers coming to an end for Lehigh.
And some tears, understandably. It's tough when something that has been such a big part of your life for so long comes to an end. You understand that. De Jesus. And Batty Stone. Oh, she is having a fourth quarter here.
The bench is loving it for Duke.
Olivia Martin, by the way, is also on the floor. Just her 3rd appearance of the season for the Blue Devils. Number 53 out there, a junior guard from Gaithersburg, Maryland. At the bench, many of whom are actually starters, loving what they're seeing from their teammates. Under a minute now of this first round matchup in Durham, North Carolina. Duke Blue Devils will have plenty of confidence to take with them and trying to get everybody involved, including the aforementioned Martin. And you have to think, Kelly, that they're wanting to get number 53 the ball right now. Everybody.
The pressure on this kid right now, who's just sat on the bench, you know, for 2 hours of real time.
6 on the shot clock. Batty Stone's not afraid.
Batty Stone's cooking.
Oh, she's looking for the assist now, and she'll get it into Jordan Wood for 2. Well, it is not just defense for this Duke team. Yes, that was the headliner in the first half in particular. Obviously, Lehigh being held to just 25 points. They have not eclipsed single digits in any quarter of this game, but hey, the offense putting up 86 here tonight too, sending a message. That shot was blocked. And with that, the Duke Blue Devils move on through to the second round and a date with the Oregon Ducks.
Just absolute domination for Duke in this game. Defensively, they got it going early, and then offensively, the 3-ball came alive, knocking down 10 threes in the second half. A complete team performance for the Duke Blue Devils as they are the 2 seed trying to advance out of this pod.
So be sure to check out ncaa.com, espn.com for all those network times and listings. As our matchup, we now have number 2 Duke, number 10 Oregon facing off on Sunday here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. The Oregon Ducks hoping for a repeat of the last time they were here as a 10 seed in 2017 when they pulled the upset and moved on all the way to the Elite 8. Well, final score, Duke 86, Lehigh 25.